Okay, so hopefully this is working this time. I already went through this once and none of the audio recorded, so we'll try it again. First question, is Elon Musk right? What is your opinion about his projects and investments? Do you think they are too ambitious or feasible? Yes, I think he's correct in making these attempts. He first started like a video game company, and that didn't work out, and then he did some consulting, which was okay, and then he hit on PayPal, which is an awesome success, and he disrupted an entire industry, and now he's on to SpaceX and Tesla and Solar City and all these things. So yeah, nothing in that sounds infeasible. In fact, it's kind of downright inspiring. When you look at what your long-term impacts to humanity are, there's a lot of movements out there, but really the only thing that matters is market impact, because the market impact is something that is adopted by large segments of society, and that society is made up of human beings. And so you can have something that's an idea, and it might catch on as an idea, but until somebody actually implements it and makes it affordable, it's not really meaningful to humanity in a large way. So yeah, I think these are great projects, and there's nothing infeasible about them. They are ambitious, and I think that's why they're great projects. As an entrepreneur, but also as a supporter of biohacking, what's your opinion about Musk's statement that in order to keep humans relevant, we need to merge with machines? Yeah, I mean, we've been merging with machines ever since we picked up rocks and sticks. We are constantly using machines to extend our capabilities, and in ways we are merging with them. We inflict our will upon the world by use of our machines, and so and the machines can amplify that effect. So a simple back scratcher solves a problem for me, but I mean, it's a great example of a simple machine extending my capabilities as a human being. I'm merging with its capabilities. Our two capabilities are merging when I use it. So the difference being that he's advocating for a tighter merger of man and machine, and that's really all about one thing, which is increasing efficiency. So when I have a smartphone, I have the power of God, right? I can see all the access all of humanity's information stores, the internet. I can reach out to just about anybody in the world. I have all this amazing power when I pick up this phone, but when I put it down, it's no longer part of me. It's not a real part of my body as a human being. So with my implants, these devices go in. They're passive devices. They are transparent. They operate with no maintenance. They disappear, and because of that, they have the sense of permanence, that the same kind of permanence that your kidneys or your heart has. They do their jobs, but it's just part of you now. It enables your capabilities. And so what he's advocating in this merger is better efficiency. So right now with the smartphone, all the power of this device is limited by how much information we can absorb from the screen, with photons flying out of it and hitting our eyeballs, and me like poking like a hairless ape at a really tiny keyboard is really what it comes down to. It's a really primitive interface for such a powerful device and a powerful mind. If you merge them more tightly, you vastly increase this efficiency. I mean, if you have like neural lace and neural interfaces, brain-computer interfaces, where you can increase efficiency, data can be communicated as concepts and ideas, not photons of light that we have to read and interpret. And information from our brains can flow out and in a much more efficient manner than poking at a screen. I mean, it's you increase that efficiency, you maximize the effect of this device. So even if this device, smartphone of today, didn't increase in power or capability at all, but we just simply made the interface between our brains and it much more efficient, it's a fundamental change to the power of humanity. And so yeah, with the idea that AI is coming, and it will be independent of us, it will be able to dictate its own development paths, its own evolution, really. That whole idea is that for us to maintain relevance, we need to also augment our capabilities and our influence in the digital realm, and in the physical one. So being able to merge tighter and tighter with our machines that are still subservient to us, and not their own AI constructs that are off doing their own thing. I think that's going to be important to maintain relevance, yes. So the next question is, what is your opinion of SpaceX and Tesla? What are the positive and negative sides of these two initiatives? I don't see any negative sides. I mean, there's negative sides to everything, obviously, but nothing that's so monumental that it would even come close to paralleling the positives. And so, when you look at data, that's all that really matters. You look at the data, like let's take Tesla's self-driving cars, their autopilot feature. The data suggests that it's way safer than letting humans drive, period. Like, the data speaks, right? And so, people point at the one guy who misused the feature and let his car drive under a semi-truck and decapitated him. That's one data point out of a lot of data that they're getting from their autopilot drivers. But people, our ape brains tend to point at that one thing and say, oh man, like, autopilot means people are going to get decapitated, and it's just not true. Like, data speaks truth. And so if you look at SpaceX, the same thing is true. Like, SpaceX is dramatically reducing the cost to go to space. Their missions are guided by principles that are different than political aspirations of current presidents or representatives. So I think it's interesting to look at just the positive, the stated goal of SpaceX, which is to commercialize space exploration and launching and all of that, and they're doing that. They're lowering the costs. So it's an important market vehicle to get humanity into space. That's something that governments weren't really interested in doing. They're not interested in helping people get to space. That's not their mission or goal. So what are the technologies that you believe to be the most innovative now, and which are the ones you believe that will be the most important in the near future? The answer to both of that is genetic engineering. Whether now or in 1,000 years from now, if we make it, genetic engineering, be able to guide our own evolutionary path is the most important thing happening right now. We think about bionics like what we're doing. We're implanting technologies in the body to upgrade our capabilities. Like, the body can't do cryptography, so we need a cryptographic token to be able to put that in there, perform key derivation, do all the cryptography we need to be able to secure our digital lives. That's important and innovative in certain ways, but I think in the long run, genetics is going to be the answer for everything, including in-body computing. Bacteria are being programmed to function as simple computers now, and I think it'll be possible with perfect genetic knowledge to be able to program or create a biological entity that will be able to do whatever, like go into space, change your genome, adapt to that, just environmentally adapt to, but also genetically adapt to your environment at will, wherever necessary. I think that's really going to be fundamental to our progression as a species into a spacefaring species as well. So yeah, it's the most important thing, I think. How do you see the future, and what's the importance of people such as Elon Musk in this transition? Well, the future is what we make it, and the importance of people like Musk is that he's helping us get there, and get there much faster. I kind of mentioned before, the market forces are what drives change, and it's really true. I mean, you look at alternative energy, for example, solar panels, things like that. It's been decades and decades and decades of people really gung-ho about solar power, and people put solar panels on the roofs and all that, but still, even so, it takes monumental government programs like what happened in Germany to be able to affect any kind of change, and that was a market change. They incentivized that. They incentivized solar power so much so that people went out and bought solar panels and systems, even though they weren't really super efficient, and they weren't really affordable without a massive government subsidy. It's still a market force that worked in that one area. But when you're talking about humanity in general, global effects, species effects, you need something major to happen. So people, without needing to be prodded by the government, will see, like, hey, this is something that's now affordable. SpaceX is doing that for space exploration. Um, you know, and Solar City, the idea of like a solar roof that costs as much as a regular roof, or maybe even less, but produces power. I mean, that's a no-brainer for even people who don't give a crap about solar power or what. They're just looking at dollars and pennies. That's going to be a driving force, and that's how you affect massive change. And so Elon Musk is enabling these massive changes through these market forces. And another thing he does, which is interesting and important, is he goes above and beyond corporate requirements for his driving goals. Meaning, a big company might release different products and gadgets, and that's really the only way that they communicate their intention to the public, why they're doing what. But Musk will say things like, "We need to colonize Mars and get off this rock and ensure the survival of the human species." That's well above and beyond a regular corporate, communication requirement from a CEO. And it's outside the purview of the missions of those individual companies. Meaning, SpaceX goal is to make space affordable and like alternative launch vehicles, things like that. But it's not, to say that we need to be able to ensure humanity's survival by colonizing space. That's a personal driving. That's a personal why. And why are you doing all this stuff? Why are you working so hard at this? Why are you driving this company in this direction? People buy the why over and above the what. Like, what are you doing? What are you selling? They much prefer to buy into the why, and the why are you doing it? And when it comes to Musk, he's out front with the why, and people are inspired by that. And I think that's much more important. You can think that people get inspired by a product release, like a new iPhone or something like that, but they're not. It's not true inspiration. It's just excitement about a particular thing, but that wanes very, very quickly. But what doesn't wane is inspiration about a person's why. Why are they doing a thing? That's a powerful thing. That's something that drives people long term, and I think that's probably the most important thing. I mean, if you think about the last decade, the last 10 years of what I've been doing implantable devices, things like that, and the media interviews and things like that, probably the most important thing I've ever done in that whole time is not starting dangerous things. It's not creating new devices and getting implants into people's hands, literally. It's exposing society to the idea of human augmentation through bionics, and just that sheer exposure over and over for the last 10 years, people are now they're responding with oh, that's weird, or good for you, you do whatever you want, but maybe it's just not for me. Whereas 10 years ago, in 2005, when I first put this one in, the reaction was very visceral and like, "You're a freak, what are you doing, this is evil," so just exposing society to this idea over time is probably the most important thing. And so in the same respect, by Musk coming out and saying the things he says and the reasons why he's doing this, that's inspiring, and that's affecting real social change through, and then following it up with a product that can get to market cheaply, make it affordable for everybody to actually implement and use and make real change. That's why it's important. So hope that makes sense. I think that's all the questions.